Welcome to Voices in the Wilderness. My name is Pastor Lorraine Bouffard. I'm Bishop of the Diocese of Connecticut for the American Ecumenical Catholic Church. I'm delighted to have my guest today, Rabbi Stephen Fuchs. And today we're going to be talking about the effects of violence. Please do not think something's wrong with your TV. We are going to be reading the names of the homicide victims in Hartford for the year 2007. Atrial Womack, Deanna Pugh, Gary Graham, Joshua McClellan, Melvin Kenton, Miguel Cruz, Alexandria Cluse, Kirk Taylor, Corey Forrest, Ariana Jackson, Aaron Talley, Lester Holmes, Asher Glace, Mark Morgan, Delano Gray, Joel Quiones, Hector Diaz, Alberto Garcia, Kent McLaurin, Sarah Werner, Ralph Colon, Jepter White, Garrett Smith, Exxon Davidson, Samuel Alexander, Lorna Cooley, Ephraim Rodriguez, Trevon Moldine, Jonathan Aurora, Yaritzi Myers, Luis Fernandez. Those are the lives that were snuffed out by violence just in Hartford. Rabbi Fuchs, you have taken on this task of trying to bring us into more awareness of the effects of violence. What is it that has precipitated this passion?
Well, this beautiful demonstration that you shared with us, reading these names, snuffing out the candles, is a reminder that each and every one of us is created in God's image. And each time a person is a victim of violent crime, part of God's image is snuffed out. And all of this began to weigh on me over the last several years. And it reminded me of something that happened when I was 9 years old. And now I believe it happened for a reason. See, back then, we would watch Westerns all the time. Mm-hmm. Westerns, they were fabulous. A half hour, a crime would be committed in the first minute. The show would take a half hour. By the end of the program, the criminal would be apprehended. Everything would be fine. Everyone lived happily ever after until the next episode.
Right.
And in those Westerns, one of the most inspiring moves that I saw over and over again was when the bad guy would be in the back room of the bank cracking the safe. The good guy would stealthily walk up behind him, reach out, pull the bad guy's own gun out of its holster, hold it right there. Now, I thought this was such a neat thing that I decided I would try it myself with the policeman who stood on the corner of my elementary school. Well, it was just horrible as I look back on it. I could have gotten killed. I could have killed somebody. But why did I want to do this? Because my heroes did it. Fast forward 50 years. The shows are infinitely more violent, and the influence is infinitely more nefarious on our society. And I believe that with the proliferation of violence on TV, in the movies, and now lately in the video games that our kids not just watch but play, we are culpable, and the makers of these outlets are culpable for the lives that are being lost in greater and greater numbers as our kids become less and less sensitive to the impact of violence. Scrapes, arguments, that we used to settle with harsh words or maybe, in the worst case, fists, now are settled in the schoolyards, as we all know, too often with guns and knives. And so we have to ask people to stop. Mm-hmm. Yes, make no mistake, the first and most important line of defense are parents. Parents have to control what their kids watch. They have to control what their kids play.
You know, that's seemingly one of the problems, that parents are using the media, games, television, all those things. Yes, exactly.
Babysitters.
As babysitters, and have no idea of the content of what their children are watching. And then when it comes time for birthdays and Hanukkah and Christmas, that, you know, they say, oh, I want Grand Theft Auto, you know, for present. I want this, I want that. I want this kind of a toy.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And the parents, they haven't been watching this stuff. They don't know what the kids are doing. All they know is it keeps them quiet for hours at a time.
Hours and hours. Grand Theft Auto, wonderful example. You play a small-time crook trying to work his way or her way up the ladder in the crime organization.
So it's no longer the good guy,
right,
or the good gal.
You beat a prostitute to death with a baseball bat. You shoot policemen or armed services personnel. And there are no moral consequences to these horrific acts whatsoever. And so what gets assimilated? Oh, that's okay. What happens? Kids get desensitized to violence. Just take TV. The kid who watches 28 hours of TV a week, and that's not more than the average kid these days, has seen 8,000 murders. 8,000 by the time he or she is 11. And for us to think this has no impact on how kids act is crazy. Now, just like in the olden days, the cigarette companies used to get these doctors to be on TV. Doctors smoke this. Well, we know it was a bunch of baloney. And the same way networks are trying to have their pseudo-studies which say, oh, there's no impact of TV or movie or video game violence on how kids act. It's ridiculous. Of course there is. Common sense tells us that there is. And worse than that, the statistics tell us that the effects are horrible.
You know, this is the thing that having taught for over 30 years.
You must have started in nursery school.
Thank you. No, actually I started in Hartford in 1965. And there was a big, migration from the South. And we were dealing with children whose parents were illiterate. And that was problematic enough. But the thing is that this was when there was the boom of television, as you said. And now we know that, as you made a point of how many hours children watch TV, they have found in research that these children, after watching the most outrageous acts committed on TV, think nothing of trying to experiment with that in their neighborhoods and in their schools and in their homes. And the thing is that as you sense the desensitization, can't say it, you say it for me.
Desensitization.
Can't get around that one today. Not enough coffee. Has what it has done is traumatized our kids so much that they're not able to be on task for learning. And poverty is one component, but this other component is coming from homes where the children have seen physical assault, and then it's just patterned later on. It's a syndrome. It becomes